Hello, welcome back to the Premier League review. Today we're going to be diving into Jadon Sancho's new role under Erik Ten Hag. We're going to be talking Manchester City and their problems up front. And then we're going to be diving into Arsenal's comeback against Aston Villa that firmly puts them as favourites to lift the Premier League title. Well, let's dive straight into the first game I want to talk about today, and that's Manchester City's 1-1 draw with Nottingham Forest. A brilliant result for Steve Cooper and Nottingham Forest. For me, cementing their sort of position in the Premier League. Their form over the last sort of 5-6 games has been absolutely fantastic. Defensively very, very good. Compact, pressure on the ball, but a threat on the counter-attack. But City have been disappointing. I thought there would be a corner that had been turned after the 3-1 win at the Emirates. A brilliant result for Pep Guardiola's side. Slightly tweaking the system, going a little bit more defensive, only having 36% of the ball, but getting the best out of Erling Haaland. Haaland registered 34 touches against Arsenal, one of his best of the season. I think he only had more touches against Liverpool in the league. And they utilised him as that direct option, a player to play into the channels, for him to run in behind and create chances for him. But unfortunately for Haaland against Nottingham Forest, the deep block, the compact nature forced City into either long shots or creating outside the area, not creating enough for him. But looking at the touch comparison from the last game against Arsenal, had 34 touches. Against Nottingham Forest, only 17. Not hitting the target with any shots and missing 2 big chances. I think one of the big things that City need to really work out is where their width comes from and where their creativity comes from. A lot of the time in these Pep Guardiola sides, we see both wingers, your Grealishes, your Fodens, your Mahrezes, being the lead chance creators, receiving the ball in the final third and making things happen. Of course, João Cancelo was doing that for City last season and at the start of this season before his move to Bayern Munich, but now it feels like City are in a very, very weird position. Bernardo Silva's being used as an auxiliary left-back in a defensive sense, and then he's moving into defensive midfield when City have the ball. And it creates a few problems for City, of course. Nottingham Forest really exploited it in their goal, of course, a fantastic 20-pass move that started in midfield, but basically utilised not only Brennan Johnson out on the right wing, but also Morgan Gibbs-White, getting behind Bernardo Silva to cross for the back post for Chris Wood to equalise. That is a problem when you're playing Bernardo Silva at fullback, but it seems like it is Guardiola's solution right now to try and build, having 3 centre-halves, having the box in midfield, to try and really dominate. But of course, there is issues from a defensive position. I'd argue there's an issue from an attacking position as well. Haaland does look isolated. When City build, they're building quite slowly into the final third. It means teams close the space in between their lines, so Haaland's touch is going to be a little bit more restricted, but also there's going to be a lack of space in behind the defence because teams are going to sit on that penalty area and sort of block off the space in behind defences. City need to evolve. If they continue playing this same way, Arsenal will win the league at a canter. I think Arsenal have got a lot of players coming back, the likes of Gabriel Jesus, that are going to make a massive impact at the back end of the season. Whereas City, I think for me, need to redesign their attack. I think in games, Haaland needs to be used as a wide forward versus a centre forward. It would suit his game a lot more. But it means City need to move away from what we mentioned before, their wide players creating, or slightly change their offence. In terms of the ideas to do this, obviously City have dominated the Premier League for the past few seasons, very much playing a false 9, a player dropping off the line. That could be either Phil Foden or Kevin De Bruyne. What that would allow, if it was Kevin De Bruyne, is City to potentially play Riyad Mahrez out on the right wing, have Bernardo in that central area, and then use the young Sergio Gomez, who seems to be really out of favour for Pep Guardiola. And for me, if Guardiola sells João Cancelo in January and lets him go to Bayern Munich, you've got to play Sergio Gomez. Gomez has got that quality on the ball, but also has got great delivery wide left. So what this means for Manchester City in terms of their attack, how we could see, it building up, of course, kind of with the 4, with Walker, Laporte, Diaz and Sergio Gomez. Gomez moving into an advanced area. City creating the back 3 like they want to do. Bernardo dropping into defensive midfield. Kevin De Bruyne playing inside right. Gundogan playing inside left. Haaland moving from that wide area inside and Sergio Gomez providing the width. For me, this instantly makes City a better side. In a possession perspective, they can be building in a number of different ways where you could even see Haaland in the inside left position high. Kevin De Bruyne kind of dropping off into midfield, dropping off that line. Of course, the rotation rotation will be slightly different in midfield, with Bernardo dropping from left central midfield deep and Gundogan playing right central midfield and moving high, but defining the attack in a slightly different way, where City are looking to potentially create wide right, create wide left through their fullback, and then get into the box. I think that's one of the only answers that I've kind of come up with. The other one would be kind of the other way, where Haaland plays more of a wide right attacker. Of course, Jack Grealish playing wide left, Nathan Ake coming into the back three, Walker playing in the high position, and the rotations, being similar, but this time Gundogan kind of in that inside left channel, the back three created. I just feel this will give City a lot more, especially when they're, in and around their opponent's penalty area, the box being created by Rodri, Bernardo and Kevin De Bruyne, and it's moving Haaland into an area that he absolutely utilises to great effect. The channels, he's one of the best channel number 9s in world football, so playing starting wide and then moving inside, making that run from out to in, or starting in this attacking shape as towards the right wing or towards the left wing, I think will open the game up for Manchester City, because at the moment it's too simple. You look at the game against Nottingham Forest, for me their 3 best chances came from actually playing direct to Haaland. One was Rodri playing a ball over the top that Joe Worrell missed the sweeping situation, it went over his head and Haaland unfortunately couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Another situation was Walk around the side that led to a big chance, but the keeper swept off the line really well. Probably the chance of the game was Phil Foden in behind, that went after a long ball to Haaland, flick onto Foden in behind, couldn't get his pass right. There's a few situations that City really need to utilise their play more, and I think when you're using Haaland maybe as a kind of a wide target forward where they can utilise long balls up to him into the channel, then win those counter-pressing situations, they're going to be creating more chances, because at the moment they look very, very flat in front of goal, having a lot of shots, but a lot of shots from outside the box with a deep block ahead of them. That's happening time and time again. Phil Foden had a good shot from outside the area that Haaland should have put into the back of the net, but that's all they're creating for. We're not seeing any movement in behind the defences, which for me is currently giving the advantage to Arsenal in the title race. I've been backing Arsenal for the title this season. They currently sit 2 points clear of Manchester City, top of the Premier League, with a game in hand. And I think the big thing with the game against Aston Villa, it was a tough fixture, considering that Arsenal played City midweek on Wednesday to play that early kickoff. The Premier League need to sort that one out. But the performance in the second half especially was fantastic. The one concern I've got with Arsenal right now is having no Thomas Partey. Of course, he's out for injury at the moment. Jorginho is a very good footballer, but one of the concerns I've got at the moment is his ability in the defensive transitions. In the last 2 games, Jorginho has been dribbled past twice in the game against Aston Villa. And looking at the Manchester City game, a similar feat where Jorginho was dribbled past twice at defensive midfield. This is big for Arsenal, because if they're going to play these teams that are going to sit deep in a 4-4-2 and counter-attack, they need to be really good at winning those defensive transitions, winning the ball back as soon as possible. One of the reasons why Partey has been so good is because he can win the ball back and then Arsenal go and attack again. It's just a concern I've got when Jorginho plays in that defensive midfield position, especially when you're playing a team like Aston Villa that are going to use interiors and they're going to use pace into the channels. You need to stop that at point. We saw that in the first goal, that Matty Cash had the freedom to drive out. Nobody brought him down. Nobody put in a big tackle, and he fed Ollie Watkins over the top. But you've got to give Arteta, the credit in terms of his rotation of Trossard and then Martinelli having an impact on the bench. The one thing that I'd say with Arteta going forward, we spoke about the plan B being an issue last week, where Arteta needs a setup that he can use when he's looking to, chase a game. I think that was quite apparent again, where the big thing at half-time was bring on Fabio Vieira. Granit Xhaka has been great for Arsenal this season, but he started 23 out of 23 Premier League games, and it feels like it's starting to become a bit of an issue. We saw it with Martinelli, his form slightly drop off with not only with Gabriel Jesus being injured, but just the amount of football that he's playing. But also we've got the likes of Granit Xhaka that are having a similar impact for. Just to give you the statistics, in the first 9 games of the season, Granit Xhaka was directly involved in 5 Premier League goals. Same with Martinelli. First 9 games of the season, directly involved in 6 goals. Both these players have played a lot of minutes, and I think Arteta Arteta needs to rotate his squad a little bit more. And I don't think it's an issue. I think teams that will face Arsenal in the back end of the season are going to sit deep. It's there's something that we've seen so far. So Arsenal switching to more of a traditional 4-3-3 when Jorginho's playing in defensive midfield and having a little bit more protection in Odegaard and Fabio Vieira in a defensive sense will allow Arsenal to dominate a lot more. It means instantly you've got Vieira and Odegaard in between the lines. And I don't think I think that is a big problem right now. It's kind of opening teams up and creating, a lot of chances in there, in those central areas that will win Arsenal the Premier League. And I think, Granit Xhaka is one player that needs a bit of a rest. I think we've seen Martinelli get a rest. I think Trossard needs to come in for maybe a few more games just to give Martinelli that time to just recoup and get himself prepared for the back end of the season because he's such a key player. I think the impact of Martinelli, especially for that most important goal Arsenal scored, the third goal of the game, was Martinelli on the carry, driving at the opponents and then basically playing the cutback at the perfect time for Jorginho to arrive late. And this is something that we're only going to see if we've got a Martinelli that's flying, that he can, spot that pass on the edge of the box. And I thought it was absolutely fantastic from Arteta to rotate. It was needed. I think everybody was calling for, Martinelli having a bit of a rest. And it comes out as, you come out of it as a key player in the game, played the key pass that set up the Jorginho goal, of course, scored in the transition on the counter-attack when the game was dead and buried and Emi Martinez was pushed to an attacking position. In terms of performances, I thought Odegaard was absolutely superb. Zinchenko, scored his first goal in English football. Really surprised about that statistic, but his first goal in English football, having played for City for a few years. Really important, low, driven shot from outside the box. But Martin Odegaard, fantastic. 7 chances created, 1 assist, 91% of his passes completed in the match, won 6 out of his 4 ground duels, 3 out of 3 of his dribbles. Did have a big chance missed, but I think he played really well. And if we take a look at his performances in the Premier League this season, one of his best displays from a creative sense against Aston Villa on SofaScore, of course, if we're looking at key passes, most in a single game. Odegaard's performance against Aston Villa, only bettered by Mohamed Salah, Kieran Trippier and Bruno Fernandes twice, a key component of Arsenal's team. But I think he needs a little bit of support in attacking midfield going forward in the next few weeks of Fabio Vieira, because I think Granit Xhaka just needs a little bit of a rest. A lot of minutes played. Arsenal need to rotate their squad around if they want to win the Premier League title. Right, time to talk about Manchester United and their recent form. Don't tell anyone, but Man United have sneaked into the title race. We're looking at the Premier League table right now. United sit on 49 points, 3 less than Manchester City, and of course 5 behind Arsenal. They have snuck into a position where the title race is very much on for them. And I think one of the things that I've liked recently about Erik Ten Hag and Manchester United is the rotation in players in different positions, giving United different solutions to different problems. So in terms of the game against Leicester City, Manchester United started in a 4-2-3-1 with Wout Weghorst as a number 10 and Marcus Rashford as a number 9. We saw this change come into effect against Leeds United after around 60 minutes in that game. They moved it around, Weghorst a little bit deeper, Bruno to the right and Rashford through the middle. Man United went on to win that game 2-0. But we're starting to see that. We saw it against Barcelona, Wout putting in a really good defensive performance in that midfield area, stopping Barcelona playing out. Not only does it give United a good line of pressure in midfield, which we'll have a look at as the analysis unfolds, but it also gives Rashford that ability to play through the middle and be a threat on the last line. The other things I liked about the team selection, of course, the rotation in the centre halves I think is needed. Man United got a lot of games coming up, so pairing Martinez with Lindelof, pairing him with Varane, pairing him with Maguire, very good to give the minutes there. And of course we saw Sabitzer and Fred play in defensive midfield once again. But in terms of the key parts of that first half, United didn't play well, and David De Gea bailing Manchester United out with 2 fantastic saves. The Iheanacho one was my favourite. How he clawed it off the line was brilliant. David De Gea now has 180 clean sheets for Manchester United. No player has more. He's tied up with Peter Schmeichel, Manchester United royalty. But De Gea was big in that first half. But in terms of United, I like what they've been doing recently with how they've been playing from a defensive sense. They're starting to go man-to-man in midfield, in defence, and then been using their wide players to cut down the pitch. We're starting to see the pressing that we saw at Ajax under Ten Hag, and we're starting to see real benefits of that. Not only has Sabitzer provided real quality on the ball, but he's got real energy in midfield, and his ability to read the game is fantastic, and was the first reason why Manchester United opened up the scoring. So let's take a look at that first goal. Bit of a transitional situation for Manchester United. They got battered in the first 20 minutes of the game, but De Gea kept them in the match. So it starts off, of course, with a De Gea long ball up to Wout Weghorst, looking for the flick on from Marcus Rashford to spin in behind. Wout fast intercepts the ball. But what I like about United's setup in this game is they very much went man for man, as we mentioned before. Weghorst picking up Mendy, Shrewsbury Hall being picked up by Fred in midfield, Rashford putting pressure on the football, and of course Sabitzer picking up James Maddison. But that's not to say it was a super strict system. If the players read the play, they could step in and intercept in certain moments, and we saw this for the first goal. Fast with a really poor ball to Mendy, and we can see Sabitzer, top of the shot, switching on, getting himself ready. As soon as he's noticed that the ball is poor into midfield, he reacts, jumps off his man. You can see him sat on James Maddison at the moment, looking to put the squeeze on if the ball's played into Maddison's feet, but he reads the situation really well from a tactical perspective, jumps, picks up the ball, which opens up a great transitional moment for Manchester United. Leicester's fullbacks are high. Manchester United have the option to play into the feet of Weghorst, but of course the ball is Rashford into the channel. Fantastic ball with the outside of his right foot into the space in behind the defence. Rashford could slide it to Alejandro Garnacho, but of course his confidence is flying at the moment and he slots the ball home. But without Sabitzer's ability to read the play in that situation, United don't score that goal. Marcel Sabitzer made 13 ball recoveries against Leicester City, which was more than any other player on the pitch, and more than Fred has managed in a single game this season in the Premier League, showing Sabitzer's defensive work rate. I can't wait to see him next to Casemiro. Let's move back to the tactics again, because Erik Ten Hag unleashed Jadon Sancho in his new role at number 10 in the second half, and United started to play. The fluidity, the interchange, but Sancho's ability to retain possession and link in between the lines, I think, was crucial in that second half performance. Fielding the similar system, but moving Weghorst to the number 9 position, Marcus Rashford went out left and Alejandro Garnacho was substituted for Jadon Sancho. This is a position I think Sancho will absolutely thrive in for Manchester United. He utilised the inside channels in such a good way against Leicester City, moving the ball on, receiving in between the lines, and looking for through balls or third man runs off his teammates. If we actually go back to his best sort of year at Borussia Dortmund, where he scored 17 goals and got 17 assists, he actually played as an interior in a 3-4-2-1, either inside left or inside right. This is the best Jadon Sancho for me, a player that can get on the ball and link with his teammates. You know, when he's in possession, there's bodies around him that he can combine with, versus when he's receiving wide left or wide right with players ahead of him and he has to, beat 2 or 3 men before he can link with a teammate. I think this is the best position for Jadon Sancho. Not only did it allow Marcus Rashford to move back to his, favoured wide left position, but it allowed United link in that final third and build through those areas. Let's take a look at a few moments. First up, we're going to take a look at Marcus Rashford's goal. Again, I thought it was absolutely superb possession play from Lisandro Martinez, Fred and Marcus Rashford. One of the things we start to see from the number 8 in there at Ten Hag system is moving into the inside channels and create. Of course, Christian Eriksen, 7 assists for Manchester United, is more than any other United player in the Premier League this season. And of course, we saw Fred combine really well with Marcus Rashford with a run from out to in to create that goal. So we're going to pick the play up with Luke Shaw in possession. Went man for man with Tete in midfield, won the ball back, allowing United to counter-attack against Leicester City, utilising the pace of Marcus Rashford. What I like about this move, just notice the positioning of Fred, starting low and then moving high. This is classic Erik Ten Hag number 8 positioning. Luke Shaw feeds Martinez. Martinez looks for the play. The pass at the moment is not on. So instead of forcing the pass like we've seen Manchester United do over and over again through the years, this Erik Ten Hag team is just a lot better, especially with the players such as the quality of Martinez out of the back. From this moment, we can see the passes opening up. If Martinez had played that ball into Marcus Rashford's feet, you've basically killed that attack. Leicester City are going to come back. They're going to, double up on Rashford and look to win the ball back in those wide areas. But what Martinez does is he waits for the right moment for that channel to open up into the feet of Fred or into the feet of Wout Weghorst. The execution is absolutely fantastic. And instead of United having the ball in a wide area, United now have got the ball in an inside channel. And of course, Fred is going to carry the ball, draw the pressure in, and Rashford's run in behind the defence, absolutely superb, onside, cuts inside the defender, does exactly what he's got to do and slots the ball underneath the feet of Ward in the Leicester City goal. But that rotation in positions and the patience that we saw from Martinez, absolutely fantastic for Manchester United and a top quality goal. And finally, let's touch back on Jadon Sancho. Scored a fantastic goal with some link with Bruno Fernandes. But also I like Sancho's defensive responsibility. He had a man in defensive midfield and he picked him up and he pressed him at the right moments. You know, we've got to take the plaudits for Jadon Sancho's defensive work. Part of his game that he still needs to develop, but it's going in the right direction. And I think going forward, Manchester United, of course, that Sabitzer, Sancho, Casemiro midfield could be something of real danger. Not only has it got Sabitzer's ability to play low, to play high, to get into the inside channel and press and create for his teammates, but Jadon Sancho retaining the ball in the final third, I think is going to become a real crucial part of Manchester United's play in the final third. Let's take a look at his goal and kind of have a look from a tactical perspective, but also kind of how Man United worked it. So let's pick up the play with Christensen on the ball. As I mentioned before, I've been very impressed with Manchester United's man-to-man scheme in midfield and their pressing situations in recent weeks. We can clearly see it defined here with Sabitzer, Sancho and Scott McTominay, who's come in to play the number 6 role after being brought on for Fred, really forcing Leicester City high. This allows United to win the ball back. You know, that pressure in midfield gives Christensen no option apart from to play wide. Diogo Dalot jumps on that moment and squeezes the play. Again, they're going to force Leicester City to go backwards. It's the only thing that can happen. The man-to-man scheme is still, you know, being utilised in that central area. No balls into the feet of any of those players, forcing Leicester City back. We can also see Lisandro Martinez being man-to-man on Iheanacho, something that will become very apparent in a second. Leicester City rotate the ball back through midfield. A little bit of space. Again, United sitting, in a mid-block. They are dropping off. Of course, you would like Sabitzer to be a little bit more touch tight, but allows Tielemans that motion and then puts him under pressure a little bit later on. The pressure comes in and Tielemans plays kind of a blind pass into the feet of Iheanacho. Of course, Martinez reads that situation, jumping out. Again, as I mentioned before, it's not a strict man-to-man scheme. If there is an opportunity to jump out and intercept the play, as Sabitzer did for the first goal, Martinez does for the third goal. In this situation, Leicester City now have a massive problem. Again, they're in their attacking structure and United can break through Sabitzer and Marcus Rashford. What I like about this from Jadon Sancho is his ability off the ball to spot the space. He's not getting drawn in to receive to feet. He's going to run on the blind side of Samor into where the space is between the Leicester midfield and their defence, then combined with Bruno Fernandes. And this is a big thing with Jadon Sancho's game. He plays his best football when he has bodies in and around him. He's a half-space player. He's a combination player. This is a key thing why I don't think it's worked so far at Manchester United, that he's been playing and he's been isolated. Get Jadon Sancho inside left, inside right, from attacking midfield, and you'll get the best Jadon Sancho. The combo play with Bruno Fernandes is simply sublime. The finish first time with his left foot, brilliant. We need to see more of that from Jadon Sancho. Those types of moves off the ball, into the space, combination play with the winger, fantastic. I'm going to pick out 2 more moments for Jadon Sancho as well in the game. Another off-the-ball movement into space. Scott McTominay's won a 50-50, drives through, could play that ball into Sancho's feet. Sancho being able to receive, but decides to drive down the line, draw in the defender, which opens up more space for Jadon Sancho. At this moment, United have created a 3v2 on the 2 defenders from Leicester City. Slips the ball into Weghorst, and unfortunately, Weghorst doesn't score his first goal at Manchester United. But again, I like Sancho's ability to continue to move, to link the play in that situation. And finally, we've got another one of him moving off the ball and not getting frustrated that he's not received the pass straight away. In this instant, Aaron Wan-Bissaka goes back to Kobe Mainoo. Mainoo then looks for Bruno Fernandes. What I love from this is Sancho's in a high position. He's pinning the opposition back line and then he's dropping off the line. It's perfect Erik Ten Hag number 10 play. But not only that, he doesn't get frustrated when he's not received off Bruno Fernandes. Instantly spins, third man run in behind the defence, found by Weghorst. Lovely Cruyff turn, feeds Bruno Fernandes, and unfortunately the play is shut down in that moment. But that ability to drop off the line, receive, spin in, third man run, these are classic parts of the game that Erik Ten Hag's number 10s really need. And going forward for Manchester United, I think this front four could be a really good solution to certain games. I'd like to see Jadon Sancho maybe start as a number 10. We've seen his impact for 45 minutes, but can he do it from the entirety of a game? But also I like the interplay of, Bruno Fernandes being on that right-hand side. I thought he provided some good, threat from his left foot cutting in on that inside channel, but also combining with Jadon Sancho in that final third, but also dropping into number 10, Sancho moving across and Diogo Dalot becoming that attacker in the final third, or Aaron Wan-Bissaka. It gives United good fluidity in those areas. Bruno Fernandes starred, was man of the match, created 9 chances in the game, which equals his best of the season, which is better than any other Premier League player. I thought he was sublime on the right wing, gives United great option, but also Sancho off the bench. The thing why I like Sancho there versus Bruno Fernandes is his ability to link the play. Sancho completed 93% of his passes from attacking midfield, created 3 chances, including that big chance for Wout Weghorst, had 3 shots, scored a goal. And I think just for the system, it works a little bit better to have a player with a lower pass accuracy on the wing that's going to take more risks, that's going to create more chances, and having someone that can link the play and retain possession in the inside position, for me, works perfectly for Erik Ten Hag's Manchester United. But anyway, guys, what did you think of the game? What do you think of Jadon Sancho's new role at number 10? And Arsenal fans, get into the chat. Do you think it's time for Fabio Vieira in attacking midfield? I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you're new. We'll be back on Friday for the Premier League preview at 12:30.